Hey you guys, welcome back to my channel. I'm Brittany Michelle. If you're new, welcome. If you're already subscribed, thank you so much for tuning in. In today's video, as you can see by the title, we're going to be jumping into why it's the summertime and we do not need to put our hair in braids. Let's talk about it. Now, as a very quick disclaimer, this is not a braid bashing video. Braids are great. I've worn braids. I do enjoy braids. This video is to highlight the fact that we don't necessarily need to put our hair in a particular style during a particular season. For folks who may be using braids to help grow their hair, this video may be enlightening in regard to some of the reasons why braids can set us back on our healthy hair journey and what we can do instead of this particular style. I'm going to be touching on a few points. I'm pretty confident that this will be a helpful video. So without further ado, let's just jump right in. So why don't we need braids? Reason number one, and of course, this is in no particular order, the synthetic braiding hair that is typically used for most protective braid styles in the summer does more damage than good. Because it's intertwined with our natural hair in the braids or whatever protective style that we've decided on for the summer, it is rubbing against our strands, which is a little bit more delicate than the tough synthetic fibers of the braiding hair. And so what happens over time is it weathers away at the cuticle layer and it just causes the hair to feel dry. I'm sure that there are some folks, perhaps some of you who are watching the video, perhaps you've experienced the takedown of a protective style and you've just felt like the hair just feels a lot more dry, a lot more brittle and rough. Synthetic braiding hair, it just isn't ideal for our hair. And so unfortunately, because of this can cause setbacks in the healthy hair journey. That may be something to definitely consider, especially if putting braids in is an attempt at reaching a hair goal. Kangalon or any type of synthetic fibers that are used to achieve these natural hair protective styles, they're just not ideal for our strands and could potentially cause breakage and cuticle weathering over time. Just a really quick tip. Let's say you have a braiding appointment like today or tomorrow. I would definitely recommend that you apply some sort of a thick enough sealant on the mids to the ends of the hair shaft to act kind of like a barrier between the synthetic braiding hair and your natural hair. For my fine to medium strands, I will sometimes use a hair grease just on the very ends of my hair before putting the braids in. When it's time to take the style down, I find that my ends are still feeling soft and are not weathered. I find that using a heavy sort of sealant like hair grease or shea butter is also a really good natural alternative. This tip will help if you are in an immediate situation where you've already booked the appointment and it's kind of like, girl, yeah. I will leave a link in the description for this particular hair grease. Now, there are pros and cons to hair grease, and there are effective and ineffective ways to use hair grease on natural hair or on hair period. And if you want me to touch on that in another video, just let me know in the comments and I definitely will. Now, moving on to the second point. My second point as to why you don't need to put your hair in braids this summer is because the weight of the braids will set your natural hair journey back. The longer the braids are, the heavier it will potentially be. And depending on the braider and how much hair they're using per braid, the style could end up really causing a lot of stress to the scalp, to the follicles, and just causing premature hair fall. If you've ever experienced taking down a set of braids and realizing an extreme excessive amount of shedding, a lot of times this is breakage that is happening or premature hair fall because the weight of the braids is just heavier than your own natural density. Your scalp produces a certain amount of hairs on your head. When you exceed the natural weight of what your natural density is, it's going to cause stress. It's going to cause stress on the follicle, and it's just extra. It's just a lot. Is too much for the follicle to bear as far as the weight. If your braids are heavy, there will be some premature hair fall and unnecessary breakage. This is especially true for particular areas of the scalp, like the crown or the nape, or along the perimeter of the hairline, aka the edges. These areas tend to just be a lot more delicate. If you're experiencing thinning, if you are one who tends to put your braids up into a bun or ponytail, understand that this is what's causing the thinning that's happening. So consider it going forward, because if it's causing this kind of damage, do we really want to continue doing it? No. Now, moving on to point number 3. Certain protective styles, especially braids, these kinds of styles that don't allow immediate access to the hair, where the hair is pretty much completely put away and not visible, these kinds of styles promote neglect. Here's why this isn't a good idea. A lot of folks choose these kinds of styles for this particular reason, because they don't necessarily have to see or deal with the hair. They can just sort of get up and go. But the truth of the matter is that this concept is not a healthy one. When we put our hair away for weeks and weeks on end, meaning we don't have access to the hair to wash and condition, with this comes oil, aka sebum buildup, which of course eventually causes a pH imbalance of the scalp, which in turn causes chronic seborrheic dermatitis, which is also dandruff. If you're experiencing constant scalp imbalance where it's just excessively dry or it's just excessively oily, there's an imbalance that's happening. And this tends to happen because the hair isn't being cleansed on a consistent basis. Dirt, oil, and other things that are building up that shouldn't be there. In order to produce healthy strands, you want a healthy scalp. One of my personal favorite pH balancing cleansers, and it's actually almost empty, which is why it's upside down. I like this one because it's pH balanced. It is a gentle clarifier, but it's also moisturizing, very lightweight. I really do enjoy this one. I'll leave a link to it in the description box below. But of course, nothing beats just having and sticking to a consistent regimen. So let's go ahead and move on to reason number 4. The final reason you do not need to put your hair in braids this summer is because honestly, it will throw off a healthy routine. This is something that I mention to clients often. Clients will ask questions like, okay, well, how often can I put my hair in braids? Part of my response to that is this: if your hair is already at a healthy place, let's say, from root to tip, the cuticle layer is nice and full, there are no see-through ends, there's really no splitting, the hair is healthy and hydrated and where we want it to be, then we can afford to kind of put our hair in a 4-week max protective style, maybe once, maximum twice for the year. If your hair, though, is at a place where you're trying to get it to 100%, maybe it's at 50 or 60% health, and you do have see-through ends, your hair is pretty dry, and you haven't really tackled a healthy routine yet, then putting the hair away for 4 weeks at a time or more, it just isn't a good idea. It's setting yourself back. If you're wanting to really see progress with your hair and experience healthy, amazing hair, no matter what texture you have, then you're going to have to wear styles that allow you immediate access to the hair, to cleanse it every week to every 2 weeks, to moisturize and seal it. Just a few key things that will definitely help get you to that 100% level of hydration and health. I hope you found this video helpful. Let me know in the comments how you feel about protective styles and braids this summer. This is actually one of the first summers in a while where I haven't put my hair in braids or in any protective style yet, and I'm just loving wearing my natural hair as is. So let me know in the comments if that's something that you're doing as well. Are you in a protective style now, or are you just rocking your natural hair this summer too? I'd love to see your responses below. Again, anything that I mentioned, any products that I mentioned, they will be listed and linked in the description box below. And of course, I'll see you in my next video. Bye.